Hi, everyone. You are listening to Stay a While podcast. I am your host, Tommi Vincent. Today's episode, Women Making Plays Impacting the Next Generation of NFL Players, featuring NFL executive Tracy Pearlman and sports agent Nicole Lynn, part of a series, Stay a While Draft Edition, was recorded live at the Power Players Awards and Mastery Reception at VU Studio in Las Vegas, Nevada, powered by Power Hands and Vanguard Holdings. Now let's get into our conversations. So I'm so excited about the conversation we are about to have at the Stay a While table. I have the honor of speaking with Tracy Pearlman. And Tracy, I have known you since my husband, Troy Vincent, was a player.
Very long time.
A very long time. And so you are experienced, you've seen a lot, you've been a part of a lot, and making a lot of the positive, impactful change that has been taking place that is not only touching the lives of the NFL legends, but you're also doing things that is directly impacting current players and the players that are going to be coming in. And with that being said, every NFL rookie joining this NFL family is experiencing your thoughtful work, you and your team. I know that you can't do it in a silo. It's a team of you all that are putting these programs together. What message are you conveying to every rookie and his family as they're coming in?
This is the beginning of their NFL journey, and we want to make sure that the transition into the league is smooth and feels like a family affair, and that they feel like they're coming into a community of care where they trust us, they know we're here to support them, and that this journey can be very long if they do it the right way. So we want them to know there's always someone on the other side that you can call, that you can talk to, that can help you, because that's what we're here for. Without players, none of this goes. So we need to be the support. And I have to say, I learned it from you and Troy. This is a family, and we need to bring that to the player.
And I love that it does feel like a family. You know, I can honestly say, and I'm not biased in this, I'm critical of this, because we've spent so much time, myself, Troy and I, you know, since 1992. We have been a part of the NFL, and we've been growing in it. And like I said, I have watched you grow and continue to evolve in this process, and I appreciate the work that you're doing, and I just want you to know that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And this is the first class of rookies coming in after the implementation of the NIL deals.
Yes.
What are some of the nuances they should be mindful of when considering marketing and branding as a professional?
So we try to explain to them coming in that the NFL policy is a little bit different, and that you really need to consider who you want to be as an NFL player, because all of the partners that you decide that you're going to work with, they're a reflection of who you are. So it's not about how much money are they going to pay you. You really need to think about, are they part of who you want to be when people look at you off field. So we talk to them a lot about making sure you select the right partners, making sure you know what you want to do. A lot of guys say to us, hey, during the season, should I be doing all of this? I'm not sure. You need to decide as an athlete what's important to you. If you think, hey, I can do community work with somebody like Nationwide, and you want to do that, then you should. It shouldn't just be about, okay, every time I post, I'm going to get $950. It should be more about, who am I as an athlete and a person, and am I partnering with the right people? And if you do an NIL deal, it should end with your college career, because you're starting a new journey. And on that new journey, you really need to see what's out there before you just keep signing on the dotted line.
There are many programs, benefits, and resources available to all NFL players and legends. If there was one that you could name for all rookies to become familiar with, what is it, and where would they find it?
It's player engagement. You need to know the head of player engagement at your club. That person is your go-to. That is your resource. That is the person who's going to bring you value, benefits, resources. They're going to be transparent with you too. they're going to tell you, hey man, do you really want to do that?
Yeah.
You know, and I think a lot of people are looking at, well, I need, you know, insurance, and I need, this person can tell you everything. What education opportunities are there? What development opportunities? They can tell you about your 401k. That person is the person who is there for you at the club. And then they'll direct you to us when you need us. There are so many benefits and resources. If I pointed you to one, you'd still have to ask somebody about it. And that's the person. So know your head of player engagement, know where they are in the building, know their phone number, make sure you talk to them as soon as you are selected to that club.
So look, you're given all the information, there's no reason. So if you're listening, you have the information you need to be set up for success. Okay, so this is my last question for you. We are celebrating Tracy. It's your big day. What is on the menu?
What is on the menu? Okay.
What are we eating?
So my grandfather was a chef. So an Italian chef. He owned a restaurant. Every single holiday, eggplant parmesan, homemade pizza, you name it. Those are the two I would like my grandfather to come back and cook those for me.
I love eggplant parm, man. And listen, you hit it with family.
Yes.
When you think about food and it brings up those memories of the time around the table with the family, that's where it's at. That's where life happens. Life happens at the table. And I'm so glad that you met me today at the Stay a While show.
So am I. Thank you, Tommi. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Nicole Lynn.
Hey girl, hey.
Has a seat at the Stay a While table, and I am so honored to have a conversation with you. Now, we already established that this is not a substitute for the conversation that we are having, where we have an opportunity to sit a little longer and stay a while, right?
Get
okay. So this conversation is specifically pertaining to the event we are at now.
Yes.
And I was on your website, and you know, for people who don't know, you are an agent, and you also are an author.
I am.
And the title of your book is Agent You: Show Up, Do the Work, and Succeed on Your Own Terms. And then there was a quote on there that said, you are the agent of your life. So that's where I want us to sit in this conversation for the few minutes we have together. Because this event is about establishing power players. And when I saw that quote on your page, you are the agent of your life, I said, well, wait a minute. This is exactly what she's talking about. So if you could please share, what does that mean, and how does someone become an agent of their life?
Oh man, I only got 5 minutes now. You know, being an agent of your own life, I think step one is knowing and walking in your life's purpose. You know, I always say if you're not walking in your purpose, you're just living and working to die. And I encourage people to figure out what that purpose is, make it the most important mission of their life. You know, until you really know the vision and the plan, it's hard to really execute. So step one is figuring out that purpose. Step two is being an advocate for yourself. You know, my job as a sports agent is to advocate for my players, get them the best deal, get them a seat at the table, make sure that they're heard. In my book, I like to teach people, how do you do that for yourself, whether that's in your job, in your relationships, in your personal life. Really being able to speak up and be your own agent. You know, and it's also taking care of yourself, protecting your physical, mental, really spiritual health completely, and finding that balance. And so in the book, it's not about how to be a sports agent, it's how to be your own agent. You know, I definitely unveil kind of the curtain to what it looks like of me being a sports agent, but it's not about that. You know, everybody has a different journey, and how can we get to that kind of end game by being our own agent, walking ourselves through each of those steps.
And I think that's such an important message, because just by nature of the work that you're doing, you're getting young men, and I don't know if you work with female athletes as well, but you're getting people when they're coming into life and really figuring it out.
Yeah.
And some of the exposure of just life in general may be limited. Some may have more experience and more exposure, but you have an opportunity to really play a role in sewing into them about being true agents for themselves. And so I appreciate you pointing out that the substance of your book, yeah, it talks about that piece of you, because people are really interested in that, because you're considered to be a power player in the industry.
Thank you.
So just, you know, being willing to share the secrets, if you will, the blueprint.
It is. It's the blueprint.
Of how you do that it's amazing. So tell me now, and this is the last question, what would you share with someone that is sitting at home right now and they don't know where or if they're going to be drafted this week, but they've lived their whole life, been playing since Pop Warner, since they were 5 years old, and this is all they've ever done, and this is their biggest dream? What would you say to them in this moment about being a power player where you are and trusting the process?
This may be all you've ever done, but this is not all you will do, right? Football is a stepping stone to something greater. With or without football, you are fine. You know, I always tell my guys, you got to control what you can control. All the cards are on the table. You've played your last game of football, you've put up the film, you've killed the combine, you've done your 30 visits. It's out of your hands. It's now in God's hands. And so you just got to sit back, relax, and believe that your steps will be ordered. You know, and the big advice I'd give for guys at home, there's nothing you could have done differently. You know, a lot of times we'll go back through, man, I wish I would have done this in that game, or maybe I, you know, had a different representative. Maybe that made the, you know, it's all, the story is written. The story is written. And again, football's just, it's the bare minimum. It's the bare minimum. There's so much more after this, and wherever you land, it's not about where you start, it's about where you finish. You know, 66% of guys in the NFL were not drafted in the first round. They were drafted later or undrafted. There's more undrafted guys in the Hall of Fame. So it doesn't matter if you go undrafted. When you get to minicamp, nobody cares about where you went to school. If you were a Heisman Trophy winner, you know, if you were a first-round pick, it's about who's going to help us win on Sundays. That's how coaches play the game. Who's going to help us win? And so that's all that matters. Give it 110% when you get your one shot.
That is phenomenal advice. You know, I've experienced it with a lot of young men just by the nature of, you know, my son's playing college ball and just kind of going through that process. And from the beginning, they believe that. And then they get to that point, and for some people, it is a dream come true. And then other people, they're having to figure out, so what's next, because that's not happening for me. So I appreciate you sharing that, because they were truly words of wisdom. Trust the process, your steps are ordered, and what's meant for you will be for you.
Period.
Period.
Nobody can change that.
Absolutely. Nicole, thank you so much for joining me today, and I appreciate it. Enjoy the event.
Thank you, and I can't wait for our next talk.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.